Welcome to the Lichi Translation Podcast. I'm Michal Heffer, manager of Lichi Translations. We provide multilingual translation and interpretation services in all languages. We work with global companies, medical device, high-tech companies, lawyers, and a wide variety of organizations globally. In this podcast, I chat with clients, talented professionals, and fascinating people I've met along the way. We will share tips from various fields, along with insights from the translation process. So let's get started. In this episode, I'm really happy to host Ariel Dubinsky, an IP lawyer. We are both here based in Israel, both BNI members. We've known each other for many years and we work together. So hi, Ariel.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. So I'm really happy to see you on this call and in this episode. And I'd like to get started. In this, we're going to be talking about the story behind the translation, what we've worked together. And you reached out to us a while ago for a translation that you needed from English into Chinese. So why don't you tell us a bit about it? What was this project and what were the requirements and what was needed?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for providing such a good service. I'll tell a bit about the story behind the translation. So, as a lawyer handling trademark matters, I'm required to provide copies of the trademark registrations to our clients. In this case, our client owns an Israeli trademark registration, and he was planning to import goods from China into Israel. The Chinese manufacturer asked for a copy, an authorized and approved copy of the trademark in order to make sure that the goods are indeed authorized. So we approached you. You did, as I said, a very good job, very efficient, very fast. You actually sent one of your team members to the translator. You provided a proof and a very fast and efficient translation into Chinese. And your team member also provided urgent authorization of the documents that were sent to China at the same day. Really interesting story and very, as I said, very good service. And
I'm
thank you for.
good. Thank you for that. In fact, is that the translation was performed by a Chinese translator living here in Israel. We needed someone that would be local. We have local teams around the world, but it was important to have a local translator as the notary would had to come to the translator to have her sign the certification personally. It's not something you can do online or remote because you really have to have a signature. Now, when in Israel, we don't have certified translation as might be more popular in other countries. In Israel, we have the notarized process, and that's a notary lawyer that comes and signs the certificate with the signature of the translator. And we also had an extra service is that usually the translator would need to go to the notary's office and sign it and do all the process over there. But we had a really cool service that we worked on this project is that the notary came on his scooter to the translator's house and he brought all the documents and the stamps and he stamped it on the spot. And that also made the process much quicker because, it was easy to coordinate with a
Yeah,
translator
that was
in her
excellent.
house.
Yeah.
So first of all, Chinese is a language we offer very often to our clients. I myself was a Chinese interpreter in the beginning of my career. I studied Chinese in Beijing University. I love China. I really loved spending time there and studying there. And I studied also in Taiwan. So this is really one of our core services, the Chinese translation. And so, and yes, and of course, doing legal translations and is also a major part of what we do. And I'm surprised when you tell me about this story because I remember lots of stories of Chinese companies that copy, don't care about the trademark and they copy goods and they produce them and sell them cheaply. So how is it that actually it was a Chinese requirement, right? The
Yes,
Chinese
indeed.
company
Yeah,
wanted the
yeah,
trademark
yeah.
certificate?
Yes, the Chinese manufacturer wanted to make sure that he's not involved in any counterfeiting or infringing activity. And in order to verify that, he asked for a verified copy of the Israeli registration.
That's
That's
amazing.
yeah, it is.
I think
It is.
that really is, I'm even really even excited to hear that, to know that, that maybe something that was once more common, maybe now
Yeah,
the Chinese are being more careful about it and realizing the importance of,
yeah,
keeping
indeed,
intellectual property.
of
And
course.
and how is the company now? Okay, so one of the processes was to have this translation performed. This was a while ago. What is the status
Yeah,
now with this client?
yeah. So all in all, the logic behind the client now owns several trademark registrations. They now ask for a global protection. So we're filing at these at the same time we're having several applications worldwide. In Israel we can file the trademark globally through the Madrid Protocol. It's some sort of a mechanism, not going into so much legal
Yeah, best
explanation.
true.
It's kind of a easy, yeah, it's quite of an easy mechanism that allows us Israeli lawyers to file in around 100 countries worldwide from our office in Tel Aviv.
But the same importer wants to file the trademark in different countries, but
Yes, yes. So
even though
I'll
he has
explain the
only,
logic. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll explain the logic behind that. Besides having he's aiming, once you have a foreign registration, you can prevent others. That's the logic behind filing trademark registration. So even if right now he's also only selling in Israel, he has plans to
expand.
sell to market in other jurisdictions. So that's why he's interested in filing other trademarks in other locations.
Okay, great. So now tell me something. Let's say, okay, so you file your trademark in the other countries. Maybe first give us an example of what is a trademark and how it can be infringed.
Yeah, of course. So one of the main assets, one of the most important assets of a company is intellectual property in general. Of course, we know about patents and patents, designs and trademarks. Focusing on trademarks, trademark is a legal a tool, is a legal registration that allows the owner of the trademark to enforce, to prohibit others from misusing their trademark in commerce. I'll provide quite an
An
easy
example, yes.
example. Let's say we don't. It doesn't have to be international. Let's say I have my pizza. I have my logo above the pizza, and the guy next to me wants to sell pizza and compete with me. He can either have his own name, his own logo, or he can copycat. He can do infringement. He can counterfeit my logo and use his instead of having a new one. So that's, if I have a trademark, it's quite an easy procedure in court. I show the judge that I have a registration registered in Israel or USA. It depends on the jurisdiction, and it's quite an easy case. That's why we need the trademarks to provide a proof and
That it's
to
ownership, that
enforce the
we have the
ownership
ownership.
of the trademark.
Now, let's say, could you give me an example? Let's say if somebody infringes a trademark, and what can you do about it?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, and I also provided, as you can see in your logo, a Lichi translation. Let's say one of your competitors decides to open a translation company and name it at the same name, use the
let's say,
same
could say
name.
Lichi with a T, Litchi.
But assuming that you filed for that before the dispute, you filed
Oh,
the
I actually
registration.
have filed a
Yeah,
registration a few
that's
years
great.
ago,
I'm
and
glad to
I
hear that.
have to check its status.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, for the
assuming that
name and for the logo. Yeah.
yeah, great, great. So assuming that the registration is still in force, you can first of all that you can file a cease and desist letter, a warning letter against the infringer, indicating that you own a trademark, that that you noticed that the infringement, and he has let's say 7 or 10 days to withdraw everything, which is similar to your trademark.
So you start
We also
nicely with a nice letter.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if it doesn't work, follow up with a lawsuit, a civil claim. Sometime we also recommend injunction order, meaning that instead of having a lengthy, very long process in court, an injunction order means that we can get an order from the judge within several days. That's also an option. And in most cases, it works out whenever
Now,
we file a
if it's international, because sometimes it's easy to solve legal issues in the same country. You know, we speak the same language. We know the influence of the law on your, it's
Of
maybe a bit
course.
more scary.
Yeah.
But let's say you've registered your trademark in I don't know, in a country, doesn't matter, in the
In
US
Australia,
or
for instance.
Australia, wherever. It's
Yeah.
so far away, and
Yeah.
what can
So,
you do?
okay. So it's very good question, and thank you for asking it. So like yourself, that you have your own network, international network of professionals. We work with dozens of law firms throughout the world. We file registration through them. And also, whenever we have an international dispute, we engage with a local counsel and ask them to issue the letter on behalf of the client.
It's
So
interesting that it's interesting that you say you have a network of I don't know, partners around the world or other companies, because we actually do the same. We have a network of translators and
yeah,
also translation agencies, because some projects we have the translator, it's a freelancer work with us, but sometimes we would work with translation companies that can handle projects for us. And I love cooperating. I mean, it's part of cooperation, globally cooperation is something that's very beneficial.
yeah, and I also know that you also attend conferences like myself. You meeting colleagues from all over the world.
It's
That's
learning new
great.
practices, learning new
Yeah,
knowledge, hearing how other companies solve certain dilemmas, how companies are using new technologies, AI. Yes, I attend language industry conferences, and I know that you also attend the legal conference, IP.
yeah.
Uh,
IPP conventions
maybe mm,
worldwide. Yeah,
maybe we should actually also see, like, we both running like boutique companies. What would be, I know you're very active on social media, you're active in BNI. What would be your tips for, how to bring, a small, medium-sized company to the front? how to do marketing for your firm?
Yeah, so so like yourself, I invest a lot of time in BNI. BNI is a global network of professionals. I cooperate with. I have my own chapter in Tel Aviv, and I also attend your chapter from time to time. That's a very good marketing tool. I'm very active in
Wait,
the
before we move
Israel.
on, maybe we should also
Yeah,
explain a little bit about BNI.
yeah, of
BNI is
course.
an international, it's a it's called Business Networking International. It's an international networking organization established 30 years ago in the US by Ivan Meisner. And since then, it has grown into many, many countries, 300,000 members, 11,000 chapters around the world in many countries. And basically, these are networking breakfast meetings that meet, once a week. The chapter members and visitors attend the meetings. We have an option to we present ourselves, and there's a whole timetable that is of the breakfast meeting or the afternoon meeting, depends on
Yeah.
on the chapter, or online meeting. That's also important to say. And it's
Yeah.
word of mouth marketing. And I'm a member for over 15 years. And by the way, I also attend the global conventions. And I've attended, I've taken part in many chapter meetings around the world. So that's part of building a global network, so that you can support um, your clients also when they work internationally, and also to receive, some work, also, to get work from BNI members from around the world. So that's an amazing tool. It's really a fantastic tool. Also, locally, but also internationally.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's also a very nice place to meet people. Uh, as we say, we make friends and business will follow, and that's how BNI works. We engage with we meet professionals, we meet them personally, we have also some leisure events, and it's going very well.
And I think I would add also, one of the benefits that I find in BNI, that it motivates me and pushes me forward. What do I mean? Is that in my chapter, for example, there's one of the members is a producer of podcasts. I would have never done a podcast if it weren't for him, because he pushed me and told me, okay, you should do a podcast. When are you going to do a podcast? Let's record a podcast. And he went on until I finally gave in. And I have already a podcast with almost 30 episodes. And it
Amazing.
just,
Very impressive.
it's another marketing tool. So we've talked about BNI, we've talked about podcast. It's also a marketing tool. What other recommendations do you have, especially in your field as a lawyer? What works for
Yeah,
you
so
best?
yeah, thank you. So I'm very active at the Bar Association. I'm a head of the IP committee at the Tel Aviv branch in Israel. I speak at conferences of the at the Israeli bar in Israel and in the US. I also write articles in the Israeli press, also in the US. I attend, as I said, I attend conferences. I'm trying to be very active also on social media, LinkedIn. I'm trying to provide as many LinkedIn updates about our activity. Luckily, we're handling a lot of interesting cases in Israel, and I'm trying to provide information about our activity online and
Can you give an
on Facebook.
example of an activity that was suitable to publish both locally and internationally?
Yeah, so in the past few months, I published a case, an interesting case about enforcement of music, infringement of music. There is a in Israel and abroad and outside of Israel, there are companies that enforce these infringements. We represented a defendant, someone who was accused of infringement, small coffee shop in Tel Aviv.
What did
And
they do
we,
with the music? What do you mean? How did
they
they?
did not pay the license. They did
For
not
what?
pay the license for quite a while, and they were
What
sued.
license? For what?
The music for it's called Akum, or
Oh,
the
you
Music
didn't pay the
Federation.
rights. Okay,
Yeah,
for
they
the,
didn't. Yeah, they didn't
to
pay
use
the
a
license.
certain, okay, for the music.
Yeah,
Okay. That the
yeah,
music they played in the restaurant,
yeah.
the cafe,
They played music in the restaurant, and actually, it was the restaurant. It was a very small coffee shop,
coffee shop.
and yeah, and also an interesting issue is that the music was played by an individual employee who
Okay.
used a very small
But that was the background music for the cafe.
yeah, it was
Mm.
and
And they
they
didn't pay
filed
the
a
rights.
claim.
I see.
Yeah,
I
and they
see.
didn't, and they were sued over 200,000 new Israeli shekels.
Which is about
We litigated.
50,000 euros.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
So,
um, we tried to settle the case promptly at the first hearing. Unfortunately, the other party decided to litigate the case until final judgment, and we were glad to obtain a minimal amount of compensation paid by our client. The judge awarded 12,000 new Israeli shekels.
oh, that's a big
Uh,
difference, which
yeah,
it's
it's a very
also a
big.
lot of money.
Yeah,
It's
of
for
course.
a small cafe to, 12,000
Yeah,
shekels is about 3,000 euros. But
yeah.
it's a
So
good lesson for life
yeah,
for this
yeah, of course.
cafe.
Yeah.
And this did you also publish it both in
Yeah,
Hebrew
so
and in English?
I translated the judgment into English, and I wrote a post, and it was something that was very interested. Our colleagues were very interested in the story. I think that's a very important tip that I can provide our viewers, that you can use your services, translation services, in order to reach other audiences that are not locally.
Of
That
course.
once you have a very interesting case in Israel, and you write, if you write a blog in Israel, it's not enough. You can send it to translation, translate it into several languages, and offer the blog, the post, to publishers worldwide. That's my tip.
I think that's, my whole translation is our way to convey a message in different languages. And
Yeah.
sometimes what I'm here is when your initiative is to translate and reach out to newspapers or magazines with content, then your exposure is much better because you're not limited to your local market, but to international market. You mentioned something about you wrote about the name of this
Yeah.
child. Can you
Yeah,
forgot her name?
I wrote a blog, a post about Blue Ivy Carter, which is the daughter of Beyonce and Jay-Z. They filed a trademark registration for Blue Ivy. I
As
wrote
a
a
name.
blog about it, about the name. And it was quite interesting story, and I published it in The Marker, which is one of the largest channels in Israel. It was quite interesting.
Yeah. That's very interesting. So basically, what I say is, one tip is attend BNI meetings. Join bni.com. You'll find a chapter, and that's a great way to market and expand your network and get more work. Do you want to share like a good BNI referral that you've received?
Yeah, now in the past year, I met a colleague, a lawyer handling intellectual property like myself. This person doesn't like to appear in court, and whenever he gets a case that goes to litigation, we work on it together, and it's amazing. I received a lot of leads from him,
Wonderful.
work together, and that's one of the best referrals that I received in the past few years.
I received an amazing referral from my chapter member. She was actually a painter, you know, nothing too, a painter, a really great
Yeah.
one. And one of her best friends was the assistant of the manager of a French jewelry company called Van Cleef and Arpels. It's a very luxurious company making these beautiful diamond jewelry for Elizabeth Taylor and the Princess of Monaco, etc., etc., high level clientele. And she introduced me to her friend. And when I was on visiting, actually, I visited Paris when I came. When I visited Paris, I met her. And following that meeting, I got so much work from this company. What they wanted was interpreters to translate for their courses. They had like workshops for shop for their shop personnel. They came from, you know, the Van Cleef has shops all over the world, and the attendants came to Paris for a course, for a training course. And my interpreters, you know, were on the during the course, and they translated the content from French into English or into Russian or into Japanese, Chinese,
Amazing.
depending on the audience. So that was an amazing referral I received from my chapter member, and it's also surprising. So we said,
As they say, you never know who they know.
yes,
That's the phrase,
exactly.
the catchphrase we use in
So
B&I.
one tip would be to as a marketing tool for your business is to attend BNI. Number two is to attend conferences and expand also your network, because through that, your professional conferences, you can get local and international conferences. Number three is to create content, right? For local, for different platforms for social media. Number four was to translate your content, write
Yeah.
articles that are relevant to even things that are happening, you know, now, or that you read in the newspaper, like Beyonce and her husband's daughter. So that would mean is, you know, they registered. It's not your project, but you through that can
Yeah.
indicate.
You can reach audience, a lot of audience that's interested in this content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We're about done with our this call. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, or?
No, my greatest tip for business is just be friendly, meet new people. That's what we learned in BNI. Make friends, business will follow. You never know who they know. You don't need to. You're not chasing for clients. Just listen to people. Be proactive. Use your first of all, really meet the people. That's the way to make business. Knowing the people, being friendly with them. That's what I do in conferences. I'm trying to speak about my life, my hobbies. I'm a runner. I'm trying to also focus on running in these conferences. We're running together. I'm sending photos of. We're meeting in marathons around the world.
Amazing.
Doing fun stuff together.
Business and pleasure together is always a great tip. Okay, great. Ariel, I'd like to thank you very much. Anyone here need any help with registering their trademark in Israel, or need any consultation about doing business in Israel, legal aspects, you can contact Ariel at dubinsky.co.il. I will publish also your details. And I'd like to thank you so much for taking part in this episode.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Lichi Translation Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like more information or have a translation inquiry, please visit our website, www.lichitranslations.com, or send me an email, lichi@lichi.co.il, or call me, 972-523-516070. I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.